vocals, so I have like a different issue of like, I'm used to like having to really compensate sometimes and like knowing that part of my voice, but like talking, I'm never like,
Yeah.
I've done more of that than like podcasting.
Talking.
I've done more of like singing, recording than like talking. Yeah.
Different bands, your own band?
Yeah. I have like a solo project, and like I went to school for like engineering and vocal performance and stuff like that.
Oh, where at?
Millikan University in Decatur,
Okay.
Illinois.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's the good thing about being in Decatur, Illinois, is that if you're bored, you go practice.
Yeah. I've spent many of times in Decatur. I had family who lived there, so I used to go there as a kid.
Yeah, I know. What a weird place.
Yeah.
But,
that's every town under like 50,000 people.
Yeah, right. For sure.
It starts to get a little different. I mean, when you grew up with it, are you from Chicago?
I'm from...
Did we start? Should we start? This is how we start. We start talking.
Yeah,
so where did you grow up?
I grew up in Belleville, Illinois, which is like right next to St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay.
St. Louis, meet me there.
What brought you up yonder?
Well, so I graduated from Millikan in 2018, and the music business professor there at the time, it was his first year there, Martin Atkins, and it was my last year. And I was going to go to Nashville, and I had previously interned to cut records, like lacquers, but he was like, "Don't do that. Come to Chicago and be my assistant." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Cool, okay."
Yeah.
Sounds fun. And my sister's up here, so I was like, "Oh, it'd be kind of cool to be like near some family." And like I lived about 3 blocks that way for a month in his house, and then I lived above the studio for 3 years, and. Yeah, so I came here for a job. Short answer.
right after college.
Yeah, right after college.
So
yeah.
you're what, like 26, 27?
I'm 27, yeah.
27, okay.
Yeah.
So about 5 years or so?
Yeah, I've been here for 5 years.
You like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Chicago. Yeah, and I'd spent a lot of time up here because my sister moved up here years ago. And so we spent a good amount of time up here visiting and seeing performances and that kind of stuff. And sometimes on spring breaks, I'd come stay in her apartment, but it's I feel like in Chicago it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Like if you're making art, you're an artist, like, and you're making good art, you're making bad art. Like there are so many places, especially once the music business kind of like takes over in a city rather than like the kind of DIY culture, like it's either, okay, well, you need to be working with like this caliber of personnel or like artist or whatever to be like considered anything but a hobbyist. And I've just never felt that in Chicago.
No, we have a very unique middle ground, this gray area of the music industry and the fine art industry.
Yeah.
The acting industry, everything about the arts, we're like amazing and solid at it in a way that's just hidden away, just enough. You have somebody that break through.
Yeah.
But something about the city, it's really good at a lot of things, and I love it for the music scene. It's a very accessible music scene, a very easy one to approach,
in general,
to get into, to navigate. A lot of what creates and destroys and moves music scenes is just geography.
Oh yeah.
Is there a mountain there? Is there a river? Do I have to go? Like if you're in New York, do I have to go across Manhattan to get to that borough?
Right.
Never mind, I'm not going to that show tonight. Like these things will stop you. And in Chicago, there's traffic. It's a huge city. But it's not that hard to get across it.
And it's not that hard to like find something pretty near you. Yeah. Like it's just like people are doing stuff all the time. I mean I think I found DZ in lockdown. But like seeing just like what you were doing, I was like, "Oh, I can just like do that." Yeah. Like, and it's just like a city just full of people that do that.
Yeah, you just do whatever you want.
Yeah. You just do that.
Just do it.
Yeah, and even if you can't do it like all yourself, which like you very rarely can, like someone else is going to be like, "Oh, I kind of want to do that too." Like if you can't find someone here, I don't know where you could.
Yeah. No, it's a great city to try something.
Yeah.
To experiment, to fail. It's a great place for that. I'm convinced I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it was any other city but this one. It's like the perfect place to do your own very big DIY approach to everything and the fest and all that. You can't pull it off in other cities. Again, the layout of it. We have every major highway goes through us. All the major trains, major airlines, like everything.
Right.
Boom. And you always have this fresh world in mind of new people coming through because of our universities and colleges and institutions, jobs. So there's never a lull in like artists and bands because the next 19-year-old at Columbia, the Art Institute's going to come through anyway and start the new. Like it's never ending.
For better or worse.
Never ending.
Never ending. Yeah.
What got you started with Your Mom Records? Talk about that and what you do there.
Well, Your Mom Records is just me in my apartment in general.
What neighborhood?
I'm in Ukrainian Village now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a cool spot.
Really love it there. Yeah, lots of it ranges so vastly, which is something that I really liked about Bridgeport is like it ranges really vastly in like demographic.
I love it.
In terms of like there are young and old people and everyone in between and like families and couples and single people and just everything, I think that makes a stronger community in general.
Yeah.
For me at least. But so in 2021, I had a bit of a mental breakdown. And I was just like, man, I cannot do this anymore. And so I decided to like take a break.
What was this? What could you not do anymore?
I was a personal assistant for Martin Atkins. And I helped run his label and we did a couple of tours. And yeah, I learned so much so fast. Like he is just he is full of knowledge and experience and ideas at all times. Like when lockdown happened, like I didn't have a day off. Like there was never like a what are we gonna do? He was this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I mean we did probably 100 online events throughout all of that. And did all kinds of like screen printing workshops and like online like workshops in that way. And just about like kind of how to run your career.
What company is this?
He runs Invisible Records. But now he also has written 3 books. One of them, the more fun coffee table read is Welcome to the Music Business, You're Fucked. If you've seen that around, I feel like I see that in like random people's apartments sometimes.
I wish I had my music business students read that one.
You definitely should. You teach at Columbia?
I teach at Columbia and I teach full time at sorry, I misspoke. I teach full time at SA. I'm applying and working at so many places that I'm like, where am I at now? ISU, Illinois State University. So I go down there on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
In Bloomington?
Yeah, so like tomorrow I'll drive 132 miles there.
That's basically what he's doing with Milliken. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
twice
brutal.
a week. Yeah, it's brutal. It is brutal. It's
brutal.
Twice a week, and it gives me a lot of free time the other days, and the massive summers off.
Right.
Long winter breaks. It's university. And it's full time, so I get the health insurance and some other perks. And then Columbia's part-time on Wednesdays, 2 classes. So there's a lot of teaching and then all this stuff the other days. Wow. So, yeah, it's fun, but I learn a lot,
Yeah, so, I mean, I was probably doing something very similar to what you were doing. And, yeah, so, like, running his web store and, like all of his email campaigns and just, like, generally, like, getting products made, that kind of thing. And then in 2021, he decided to open up in the space very near here, the Museum of Post-Punk and Industrial Music. And his building used to be a funeral home, which means it has crazy tall ceilings for some reason, because it was like a chapel. And every time I go in there, there's more stuff, more
Where
context. It's like 3 blocks that way.
What, the streets? I've never heard of it.
It's my old apartment.
Oh, okay.
So
you lived in a few...
I used to live in the top floor. And
what kind of ghosts and
so many.
Jesus.
No, the only time that I remember, and I generally, I'm not that kind of person in general. Like, I don't get super spooked very easily, and I wouldn't have even remembered this if his old assistant hadn't asked me. So I lived on the top floor, and the office was in the basement. And it also had like a small studio in there, a screen printing workshop. And for a time in the studio, we had like the drums set up. And I kept hearing like the drums playing. But like he was not there like at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like he would not come and practice drums at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, and not like at least give me a heads
You never
up.
went to go check?
Of course not. I know.
I mean, I'd be so curious.
I would not. No.
You have to.
I let
now you can't confirm anything.
I let sleeping dogs lie. But the old assistant was like, "Have you ever heard the drums playing?" Like unprompted. She was like, did you ever like hear the drums playing like really late at night?" Like, and I was like, "Dude, yes." And she was like,
sure he's not pulling a prank on you where he puts like a speaner
there's
down there
no
and plays
way.
it?
Okay, he is a prankster.
I would totally do
like,
that to people.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should ask him.
That's kind of freaky.
But I don't know. I find it hard to believe that it was a prank. Like I don't think that he's that invested in like gaslighting me. I feel like there'd be a lot of effort. Like he likes a low effort prank. Like like you open the door and he like smacks his own face. He's like, "Oh God," like that kind of thing. Like, oh no, but yeah, no. So I was doing that, and it was just. I had just been doing it for a long time, and I was having, an identity crisis because we hadn't been able to go outside for like 3 years, and
Yeah. Don't even get me started.
Well, maybe like a year and a half at that point.
Too long.
A little while, yeah. It's still going somehow, So I just was like, you know what? I need to go do something else. And so I worked at like an Ulta in Wicker Park for like 6 months. And in between there, I was just like, you know what? I just want to do something else. And I'd always put out my own like solo project music under Your Mom Records. And so I was just like, what if that was just mine? And I looked it up, and I was like, no one's ever done this? Like, for real? Like, there's no way. Like, some 19-year-old has had to have made, like, a yourmomrecords.com or something. Like, but, like, no. So yeah, and it just kind of started as, like, doing these kind of small projects. I brought some visual aids.
Yeah.
If you would like to see.
Sure.
This was the first one. So these are all
7
lathe
inches?
cuts. Yes. So they're 7 inches, but they're all lathe cuts, so they're like, they're a plexiglass.
Oh, I know Late Night Laundry well.
Yeah. Oh, they rock. Love
That's
them.
awesome.
I did bring 2 because if you would like one, if you don't have one.
Of course I would.
Yeah, the blue or the orange.
They're so good.
I know, they're so good.
Their drummer is wild. He's in a lot of bands.
Yeah, he is. He's so talented.
Yeah.
And Em is a very talented like designer as well. So these are this is basically like a sneeze guard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a plexiglass. And they're cut one at a time on a lathe. Rather than like pressing a bunch. So they're a little bit cheaper. You can do shorter runs.
Yeah. I have some lathe cuts too from bands.
But then I do like hand painted or like screen printed and hand painted or whatever kind of stuff to the sleeves. So they're all just like a little different, and they it's like the conversation ends up becoming a bit more like, which one would you like, rather than like, please buy my shit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
So you
fun.
make all these?
Yeah.
And all the artwork?
It depends.
Pink Squeeze, I know them too.
Yeah,
cool.
fun gals. Or fun pals. This one has my cat. My cat's footprint in it.
I know Daydream Review too.
Yeah, Daydream Review. They just moved.
Look at that.
Yeah. So for example, the Pink Squeeze one, Anna already had their like digital artwork done. And so then I was just like, oh, well, could you just send me the line work and I'll make a screen, like a silk screen for it. And then I did all kinds of different like abstract like painting behind it and then just screen printed over.
Okay.
Or like sometimes it's collages. This was like 4 screens. This was the biggest one that I'd ever done. It was very hard.
This one?
Yeah, it was so hard. I don't want to do that again.
Can you seat everyone?
But maybe, at least the next time will be easier.
Can you explain the lathe cutting process?
So, do you know how records are regularly made? Mm-hmm. So, like, for those that don't, you have like the record, which is pressed, right? But before you have the stampers, you have the lacquer. So it's like a very thin sheet of metal, a little bit bigger than a regular record, and it's covered in a varnish. And then with a precious gemstone cutting head, electricity is like run through it, and then the vibrations cut into the record, and that's how it's transferred. Mm-hmm. So it's basically that same process from mastering, but just over and over again into a cheaper material. It has some like the lathes that are cutting these. They're a lot of times they're much older. Sometimes like people would have them like in their homes, which I think is really cool. But yeah, they're a lot sturdier materials than like the big, and they're much smaller than like the big Neumanns that would cut traditional lacquers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you just do it one at a time, and then.
So you have one of these at your place?
I don't. That is the dream. We're working on that. We're getting there because that'd be really great to be able to, offer like doing some of the stuff for bands like way cheaper, just because I'm able to do more of the steps. Mm-hmm. Vertical integration. For those of you that are playing business at home, apparently that's what that's called. Taking more of the steps of your production process under your wing. But yeah, I've been really enjoying like this kind of stuff. But then I also do like backyard shows and just like one-off like kind of, I don't know, consulting feels like a strong word. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing all the time. So, but like sometimes people will just come to me and be like, what do I do in this situation? Or like, what are you looking for? Like, what would you suggest? Or just like, even if they're just like trying to learn how to screen print on their own, like some troubleshooting with that. And I really like doing that. Taking bands out on like little tours, stuff like that.
Oh, like kind of hook them up with where to go.
Yeah.
So is this a full-time thing, a part-time thing, both? It's life, it's hobby, it's passion, it's work, it's
all of those.
What is it to you right now?
It's all of those. Oh, right now I'm trying to figure it out. You've caught me on such an odd day. This is the first day off, truly, that I've taken in like a long time, like 3 years at least. And
really,
yeah, like that wasn't for like a wedding or funeral or other work.
So no vacation, no travel, no work travel.
Some work travel, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's I don't know. So this right now to me is just like, it's finally becoming something that like I could see myself being able to do like more long term and like full time, which is really exciting.
Are you doing any other jobs or gigs right now?
Yeah, my day job is at a company called Vinyl Me Please, which is like a vinyl subscription service.
Okay.
So I'm their e-commerce coordinator. I do like really like coding on the back end and
so it's similar. It's akin to
yeah.
That's good that it's similar. Relative to it.
It's been cool and like it's been interesting to be able to learn about just like how some of this stuff like scales up in certain ways.
How does it scale up in certain ways?
Weird. For example, I never knew like at these bigger pressing plants, at a certain point, you're ending up like buying capacity. If that I'd never heard of that kind of like, oh, that's in our capacity, which is like, okay, I'm going to press X number of records this year with you. I don't know what they are. I don't know where they're going to be, but I'm going to press this many. And you have to reserve like time and space and labor and materials for me to do that. Which is just like mind-boggling to me to be able to like tell what that's gonna be. You know, like just like the amount of like lead time, like that it like almost like triples or like quadruples sometimes for some of these like larger releases, or like once you're I'm sure you're doing some of that every once in a while, like just like I feel like some of these projects I turned around in like a month or like 2 weeks. But like they're at my day job, like there's like sometimes things are like in production for like, or like including like the pre-production and negotiations for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and how many pressing? Like, if someone wanted to do like 10,000 vinyl?
Well, so, I mean, I think...
if you wanted to do just like 100...
Oh, right. That's like, you know, a couple months probably, depending on what's up. And depending on how nice you are to your vendors. But yeah, I mean, yeah, for like some of like the records of the month, like we're pressing like 10K of them and like they all have to be ready for whatever month they're the feature of, because otherwise that's like a huge problem. Right, kind of stuff like that.
That's a bigger band if you're doing 10K.
Right. Right. And so it's just like all of the things that go into it, like just how they kind of like how some of the details become somehow even more important, like as you're doing that. And like depending on, you know, I think like it's been really valuable to see how like how differently sometimes you have to like deal with artists in some ways. Like just like everyone is at like a different place in like their life and their journey and like what they want out of whatever they're doing. And like meeting people where they are, like it being just such like a valuable skill, and just kind of like, especially when like I feel like conflict within the industry can be like so scary because you're working with all your friends most of the time. Like, and it can be really hard to be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not, like, yes, you're my friend, but like I can't just like will this into thin air for you. like and like I can't just like make it happen because we're buds, kind of stuff. And like learning how to like say no, or how to maybe give them a different option, or like a suggestion for like what maybe we could do better in the future, like in communicating, like that kind of thing. Like, you know, I don't know. I think that's been something that like experiencing it in like the corporate world has like not informed, but like made me really look at like how I do it in just like outside of that, and like in my life, like just like being a little bit more direct, even though I'm like being caring about it, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it takes a long time to learn how to, in a polite, sincere manner, say no or give a different perspective on it without sounding condescending or rude.
Right.
It's very much a skill set.
Right, and definitely like, I certainly do not know everything.
Yeah.
Right, like certainly not. Like, and like very obviously, like and I've definitely, you know, made mistakes throughout like my professional life. But like I think a lot of people, as long as you're willing to like, you know, just kind of move forward with some grace and like be nice, like no one really cares. Like they can get over a lot. Like they can, like, you know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Especially when like it's just always going to benefit you more to like be able to collaborate with people, like it, and to like be open to it, like in a way that like respects how sometimes those relationships morph, you know, and like how they'll inform what you're working on, you know.
Do you ever have issues with that? It can be hard.
I mean,
or is it most things you're old enough, mature enough that you can kind of just not have too much of a problem with it?
I think in general, I'm just like I can let it go really easy, or I can just like kind of ignore it. Like, like
either one works.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's like eventually, like if you aren't hearing me when I like politely say no, then like I don't have to say it again.
Yeah.
Or like oh, or like I don't know, like I feel like the internet sometimes makes people really bold in like being like, hey, what's up? I'm making an EP. Here it is. You got to listen to it. Or like, let me know what's up. Or like, I'd love your feedback. And it's like, I appreciate that. And I like appreciate that they would like want my advice. But like, I'm just a person.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's a Sunday at like midnight. Like, please, like, we have to look inward and like figure out like, what are you actually doing this for? And like, what do you want out of it? And like, what is going to make, like, I don't know. I feel like it's really easy to become disingenuous in the name of like marketing.
Yeah.
And like to be like, oh yeah, this business is all about relationships, and like just be like, oh, I need to have as many relationships as possible. Damn the quality. Like don't worry about like how you are treating people. Like, but it's like that stuff that comes back to you.
It'll come back to haunt you if there's some disingenuous things going on.
Yeah, right. It's just like weird.
Any nefarious intentions, it'll come back to get you. Maybe, especially if you want to have longevity in this. Like if your mom records is what you want to do forever,
right?
Then you have to. It's where the saying "the customer is always right" comes from. Like the customer's using that, right? Like why wouldn't the person who's doing the thing know more than the customer? Of course they would know more.
Right.
It's that saying's more about to keep everyone happy so you can keep doing this. Because the internet's a dangerous place because people can say negative things without any repercussions because they wouldn't do it like this to your face.
Right.
They don't have a problem doing it on a social media platform or a blog or a review. That's why I don't trust like Yelp reviews and stuff.
Yeah, it's so tragic.
I'm like, who goes home and gets mad and just goes, their eggs were too...
Like, just tell me if there's a patio or not or whatever.
I don't trust it because I don't trust people's opinions about something.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I liked a food or an album or a venue or a vacation because I'm me and I liked it because I'm very specific in what I like. And someone else goes, oh, that coffee shop sucks. And it's like, well, then I go have it and it's fine. You're like, well... Are you that person that goes on Yelp and gives them that review because you didn't like one thing about it or the music was too loud? Yeah. It's just too subjective to do that. So it makes it a little hard. It makes me scared to like be even more strict and honest. You have to be a little bit more soft with it, you know?
Yeah, right.
Out of fear that someone's going to like do that because they will and they can. Same thing with like student reviews for like a class.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're anonymous. They could say whatever they want. If I give them a bad grade, they don't like me because they didn't come to class. And now, there's a correlation with bad reviews and bad students. Yeah. So, are you a record label? Do you sign? Like, what are all the things you do?
I have 2 artists that I've been working with like pretty consistently. Pretty much everyone here. These 2 are the ones that I work with consistently: Calico Loco and A Day Without Love. But pretty much everyone else has been kind of like one-off stuff here and there, which has been cool. And it's been like cool to like see how like some of that would work in terms of like a contract, like from like a contracting perspective. Like I'd never really thought of like doing that. And it's nice whenever I feel like I get a lot of like cross-pollination with like other labels. Like this first one I did was with 2 artists, Leche Malo and Jeremy Ferreira. And Jeremy was on American Standard Time Records in Seattle. And Sean Jewell, who's very kind, was so helpful and like so nice. And like it was my first project that I'd ever done, kind of like under this new name and like on my own. And he was just like really supportive and like willing to kind of stick his neck out and like just kind of let me run with it. And I feel like that's been what's been really rewarding. And I feel like a similar way whenever I host like these like backyard shows with touring artists.
In your backyard?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's technically in my neighbor's backyard.
But they're cool with it, obviously.
They're very cool. They're very cool with it. They I take care of all of the like organizational stuff, and they do all the sound and open up their courtyard for us.
That's cool. When's the next show?
Thursday. Would you like to come?
I would love to come. I will. What time is it at? Because
music at 7:30.
I get home from ISU.
Yeah, what time?
At like that time.
You should come.
I might be able to.
Yeah, come catch the last couple or whatever, and we have pizza afterwards. So.
Nice. Who's all playing?
2 artists from the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
I know one of them is named Westmoreland, and I think the other one is Lily something. Lily something. And Sleeper's Bell, who I've seen around, but I haven't heard them. But so I'm really excited to hear them. And Ari Lindo from Late Night Laundry is going to play a solo set, which I'm really excited to hear. I didn't know that they did that. So
are these do you put these do you book everything and do all the logistics for this?
They come to me in a variety of ways. Like this one, it was just on Instagram. Hemlock. They're a singer-songwriter in Chicago. They posted about needing a space for someone, and I was like, I'm down if you guys need it still or whatever. And yeah, so we're just doing that. Or sometimes it'll be a touring artist, or sometimes I'll just be like, I want to have a good time. Let's, get some people around. I also helped host some stuff at the Garden DIY on the West Side. I helped host Molly's birthday, and that was like a fun little like kind of open mic and potluck and taught people how to screen print and stuff like that. So that was fun. So yeah, it's just been about like a year and a half of kind of doing whatever I want, seeing what sticks, seeing what could go better.
What's your favorite part of all the different things you do with it, from shows to like making the art to the actual lathing to like what's your favorite part of all
I don't do the actual cutting yet.
Okay.
So that's the aspirational portion. I've gone through 2 people who've been really awesome. Zach at Precarian Cuts in Tucson, and Ethan at Funky Frankenstein in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And they're both very talented. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's been kind of like this synthesis of kind of all of these things that I've done, like, because it's like I have like the vinyl background, but I also have like kind of I feel like sometimes my time with Martin was like a master's in like DIY, and of just like.
Is he older?
Yeah, he'll be 65 this year, I think.
Okay.
His first band was Public Image Limited with like Johnny Rotten. That was Johnny Rotten's solo project after the Sex Pistols.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
In the 80s. Yeah, he's wild. I'm can't wait to connect you guys. I think you guys will hit it off.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him.
But yeah, so it's just kind of like taking kind of all of these things that I had tried to soak up over the last couple of years and just doing those over and over again and figuring out which things I like and which things I don't like. This collaging is really cool, but I can't do more than like 50 of them.
Yeah.
like I did like 100 of these.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. So like this is a torn up copy of All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman.
Okay. What is it that you only need to know about the music business? Or what all do you need to know about the music business?
It's 600 pages, ranging from like copyright and like sync licensing to like
all that fun stuff,
labels and touring and merchandising and just for the record, this is an old copy I have a different updated copy.
You didn't just cut up the nice one.
Yeah, no, I promise. And I think the only other books that I looked him up one time. I think the only other books he has are like vampire novels, which I think is really funny. And I think like maybe like a juggling book, but don't go. I feel like it was something ridiculous.
Vampires, juggling, and music business.
Like what's happening? Like what are
that's what the music industry does to you.
What are your credentials? I get that, and it's like, the more. I remember looking this up in like my senior year legal issues class. I was like, who is this dude? And I found that. So, but I get it more and more as I do this. Like, yeah, it is just vampires and juggling.
But that's every industry.
Right.
What industry isn't hard and difficult and everywhere and cutthroat and people make it and people don't, and it's hard and debilitating. Yeah. Suffering. That's industries.
Yeah.
especially anything in the arts. Industries with the arts, it really gets to be a challenging one.
Yeah, especially when there's always like this push and like this feeling that like someone else is going to be willing to do it for cheaper, faster, like less compensation, just everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting to I think for a long time I was just so hungry to like be in it. That like I did a lot of things that I would not do now.
Like what?
Just working like crazy hours or just like, letting people kind of like take advantage of my my goodwill or like my work or my dedication in some ways, I guess. Like I don't know. I think it's really easy in the creative industries for it to be like, oh well, maybe you just aren't cut out for this or something. Like when really it's just like, no, you're just kind of being unreasonable. And I'm 22. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been nice to kind of take a second and be like, what does the industry look like? What does the industry look like to me? What do I want it to look like? And how do I want to treat people within my portion of the industry? And just like do that and see. And it doesn't go great every time. It doesn't. No, of course not. But
people are human.
It's getting there. Yeah.
You're going to catch people on a bad day.
Right. I definitely have had a couple of bad days, right?
Yeah, and they're artists. I mean, we're talking about drugs and alcohol and...
Right. And like I'm an artist myself too, right? Yeah. So it's like I get it. Like everything sucks and no one will ever understand your genius.
No,
I get it.
Yeah. You're underappreciated. The whole thing.
And nor I. But.
Yeah. No, do you ever run into issues with like when you give like a price for something? Do people ever give you a problem?
Not really. I think honestly it's like and to be fair, in terms of like funding, like I've just been doing it myself, like out of like, whatever I have stashed away. So like if a band, and it's like far more important to me to have like if a band like really wants, this kind of like physical good, which I think, and we could talk more about how I just feel about vinyl in general later. But like, if they want this on their merch table and they think that like their audience is going to connect with it, then I want to make that happen for them. So like, I'll front it a lot of times and just like be like, let's just you recoup me and we'll call it square. Yeah. Like, so I'm not really like, I'm not raking it in or anything by any means. But,
I understand.
Yeah. But, yeah, no. So like, I don't know. A lot. It's hard to say no to like, here, I'll just do this thing for you in case you asked. And it's if they're willing to help too, that helps.
Yeah.
Like Calico Loco like helped paint like and I think that those end up being a lot cooler. Like Danny, the lead singer from Calico Loco, ended up like I don't know that they would necessarily like see it this way, but like it was cool to me to like see what came out of them when they're just given kind of this blank space. And they like painted like the Puerto Rican flag, and I was just like, that rules. Like I don't know, like that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't done it, right? Like I don't know. I just think that that's like, and it's like, and that's the one that they wanted to keep, which I think is like even cooler. Like I don't know. It's interesting to see what people gravitate towards, like what mediums they're gravitating towards. Like I thought these guys were gonna be so not into like the kind of foiling stuff that I was doing, but they super were.
Who's this?
This is Hauntes and Ames Window, which is Evan Opitz and Dove Hollis from Phantom Broadcast.
I know them. I've worked with Evan many times.
Homie.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's the coolest. Great
guitar player.
Yeah, so I think The Hawk and the Thistle is his, and then The Tower is Dove's.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Small world. We have a lot of similar people we've worked with.
Yeah, Dove went to Milliken.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been friends for a long time. So sweet. But yeah, it's been really cool to just like see what people gravitate towards in terms of like once they understand what I'm doing, like being like, oh, I really like this about this portion, and then we can like kind of take it into what they want to do and like how that looks.
A collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's a collaborative, and I really like when they come with like the digital art already done, and so then I can kind of like bring it into the physical world and like, but have it have like a little twist. Yeah.
Do the events you do, are they called like Your Mum Records shows?
Yeah, I've been calling them DIY or die, and then I put a number and then whatever like.
Which one
like,
it is?
Yeah, like whatever like subtitle I think of. I think this one is DIY or die, homies help homies, or something.
Which one is this? Like what number?
I think it's technically number 9.
Number 9.
I think so.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
I do miss putting on the house shows.
It's a lot of work.
I did so many. It's a blur, but
I'm sure.
I did one every month, and
Yeah.
I did them for 8 years.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like 75 or something. And
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to do. All the audio, the sound, the setup, the booking, the beer, the lighting, the door, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Trashed my home. Trashed everything. It's a lot of fun though. Some great times.
We have much tamer crowds in general, I think. We do like a lot of like singer-songwriter kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's a good way to go.
Yeah. And in general, I'm still pretty COVID conscious. And so either we're outside, which I think like kind of brings down everyone's like everyone's like relatively chill when they're outside kind of vibe. And I require masks indoors still, so we aren't like distributing drinks in that way. So generally like people aren't like crazy drunk or whatever. And we end by 10, so it's like I don't know. Do you know Shannon Curtis?
Yeah.
She wrote a book called How to Make like 35K, no booker, no bouncer.
How do I know
no
that?
Business. She wrote a book about just like basically like DIY touring and like playing in people's backyards and living rooms. And like I would say they're like relatively tame. Like they're not like a punk band like going around doing it. So it's like I guess they're different, like there are advantages and drawbacks to like doing it that way. But like she's made a living doing that. Which was really cool to kind of see be done. And I feel like when I first got to Chicago, I was really in like the folk punk scene, and that genre lends itself pretty easily to that kind of thing too. Because it's like, who's going to complain about the banjo next door? Like, you're going to sound like a dick. Like, it's just a banjo. Come on.
It's easier to have shows when it's acoustic or tame. Yeah. Where I was, it was easier
like
to have
sober
full
crowds.
bands.
Like folk punks are really like like a big sober community generally.
Yeah, usually the thing that stops it is the alcohol, drugs.
Yeah.
People being rowdy, breaking stuff, screaming,
not
getting
my
caught
fave.
peeing in the bush next door, all that jazz.
No, not in Mary's Beth's bush.
So you said it's your neighbor's backyard?
Yeah, 2 doors down. Yeah, he's a tenured professor at UChicago.
Oh, nice. So he just likes to have fun.
Yeah, he just likes to have fun. Yeah, he loves records. I would say he's probably the first person that my partner made friends with. Like after he moved to the city, I'd been here for 3 years. Like, and so everyone that he was meeting was like someone that I knew already. And he's the first person that he found.
It's a good friend to find.
Yeah,
like, come have shows in my backyard.
Perfect.
Let's go.
You did so much work for me.
And they do the sound. He does the sound.
Yeah, he does the sound. He generally
awesome.
records. He rules.
You don't have to do any of that stuff. That saves so much time and effort.
So much time and effort. And his landlords are really cool. They're like down.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been cool. And the one neighbor, she's like, I can't hear it over my AC. And I'm like, okay, cool, great.
It must not be that loud.
Yeah, no, in general, no. And every once in a while we get away with like a jazz kit in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting. The last time we had like a punk band, someone did call the cops, and the cops were like, I don't get it. It sounds good. Like, sound.
How late was it?
It was like 7 p.m.
Oh my God.
I was like, dude, like, please.
That's so lame.
It was pretty loud. The first band was pretty loud. Much to my dismay, I was like, homies, please.
It's going to be really hard when I'm an old person for like the neighbors and the neighborhood to upset me with sound. I'll have no right, like on a cosmic level, to ever complain about sound from anyone.
But you
ever.
will. But you will.
I won't. I'm too hard-headed to a big no. Younger me would not allow for me to like do this.
Honestly,
I can't do it.
We need more of that. I think we need more of that energy.
Well, I had a unique. I was the one causing the chaos forever. Still am. So I sympathize with it.
I get that.
The best you could do is just communicate with neighbors, talk to them, text them.
Yeah.
Find good time windows to never break that bond. You know.
Yeah. No, I'm an aggressive friend maker.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So like generally it's pretty much fine. Or like they know like where to find me if they're like having a weird time. And they're like, please stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But
that's the first thing I tell people when they come to ask for some pointers, advice.
Yeah.
I'm like, you be cool with the neighbors.
You gotta be cool with the neighbors.
Anyone around you within a couple 100 feet in all directions, be cool with them.
Oh yeah.
Be cool with them, be cool with any patrolling police, you name it, anything like that will stop you, and
Right.
they will.
They will.
Be cool with them. Be cool with them, be fair,
Be
negotiate,
nice.
be
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
respectful.
Yeah.
After DZ Fest that I used to do in my backyard, I'd have everyone people who were volunteering, go around the neighborhood in like multiple blocks, even if it wasn't our garbage, just pick up every piece of garbage you see, like all of it. So the next morning, the neighbors they can't complain about it. No. Not only are they not finding like beer bottles and cigarette butts from the fest,
but is it cleaner than you
they're not finding anything.
Right.
And they're like, wow, the neighborhood's spotless. So, and that people would get annoyed. My, friends would be like, I gotta go clean up at like midnight and go walk around in the dark and do this. But the last year, there was a like neighborhood watch group chat on Facebook, like a page that all the moms would be on.
Right.
Who else? And talking about like the neighborhood, and one mother brought up DZ Fest and was like, what is this thing? How is this legal? How's this happening? Was like not cool about it. And then all the moms came to my rescue, who I don't even know. We're just like, no, it's great for the community. They clean up the streets afterwards. And I looked at all my friends and I was like, you see that? It paid off.
See why we do that?
They rescued us. Like,
they did.
If anyone can shut it down, a DIY thing, it is a tax-paying homeowner who lives down the street, because that's who the police have to listen to. Right. That's who the mayor or the alderman have to listen to.
Right.
So you have to be, like, you got to do all that preliminary work and relationship building beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the number one thing. A lot of the DIY spots that don't last long, they don't do any of that stuff. 19-year-old cartoons who don't talk to anyone. They don't work it. They don't work it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a bummer. And it's like, so like the slogan that I've been, not even slogan, just like what I have been kind of trying to turn over in my head over and over.
Mantra,
yeah. There we go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is it? The kind of like mantra that I've been having since I started the label was that, like, I think everyone deserves a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that like everyone can be a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the capacity to care really deeply about the people that you are around and that you live with.
Yeah.
And that includes your neighbors, even if like I don't know. I think if everyone talked to their neighbors, things would get better like a lot faster.
Yeah.
Like a lot
if there is
faster.
a difference you can do, it's not posting or blabbing about stuff you can't control on the internet. It's talking to your neighbors, be cool with them, have a sense of community. That's very real, and that actually has an impact on the community, on the kids that live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
On the firemen, police, aldermen. The internet's not real. Like it's a pinpoint of the glimpse of reality that really exists. It's not very real. But your house, your apartment, your complex, your block, your streets, these are all really real.
Yeah.
And keep them clean, talk to people, communicate, tell them when you're going to do something, when you're not. Invite them.
Yeah.
Invite them. Hey, come, or having a show, come hang out.
That's my thing, is that like I'm always so surprised at the amount of like people that like I'm just kind of like, why did your neighbor shut it down? Oh, because you didn't invite them. That's crazy.
They're just mad you didn't invite them.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, like I would, if you didn't invite me, I'd be like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
I I had one neighbor who I think has had an odd life. And someday he will tell me about that. But he wasn't super on board, but like I just kept like a 6-pack of Miller Lite for him. And I was like, dude, you are welcome anytime. And it will be here every time we do one of these. And eventually I just left the Miller Lite out for him. But
did it work? Did he drink it?
He took it.
It's gone. Wasn't there the next day.
Good enough for me. But I don't know. I've always been like the kid on the playground that's like, "Hi, I'm Molly. Want to be my friend?" And I don't think I've ever really lost it. So I don't know, but I think like that's one of my better traits, and certainly like some people are just not into it, and that's fine, and they don't have to talk to me. But I bounce back pretty fast. So,
it turns out when you meet enough people, you start to realize there are really recluses and introverts to the highest degree.
Some people do not want to chat
or do anything or go anywhere. It's very real.
And it's okay.
It's okay. I don't know if there's longevity in living like that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative.
And eventually you will tell me what you need.
Yeah.
And I will try to the best of my ability to figure it out and help you out with it. But yeah, no, I think I'm pro meeting your neighbors. Pro meeting your neighbors, pro like getting to know them. Like what do like the last year and a half of my life would be significantly less colorful without someone who was willing to like open up their home and like do this with me.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a really cool neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes and like sometimes you don't luck out like that, I guess. But I don't know. Pretty good. I'd rather take the chance.
I'd say most people can pull it off if you just go do the groundwork. Meet everyone, talk, warrant, let them know. Like, hey, text me if it's too loud.
Yeah.
Like, don't call the cops, just text me, and then I'll do something about it. That type of stuff. It's all. How could very few people get mad at that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought up records earlier, vinyl. You said to talk about it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on vinyl?
I don't know. I love vinyl. I think it's what has fundamentally changed like how I interact with music. I don't really stream. Like I'll stream like music in my car and road trips sometimes.
Yeah.
But like if it's new bands that don't have vinyl, like I'll stream that obviously. Trying to like be more on Bandcamp or whatever. But or like YouTube music I think like pays out the best technically.
They're all garbage and ripoffs.
Yeah, like 10 times 0
horse.
is still 0.
Don't even get me started.
I believe it.
Oh, this $1 billion company pays a little bit better than that $1 billion company. What do you know?
Wow, how kind of them.
They're so nice.
How many yachts? Jeez. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I wake up now and I just get to like pick out a record to kind of start my day. And like sometimes, you like stumble on something like that you hadn't really thought about in a while. And like, I don't know, I'm investing more and more of like my time in my life and like doing things that like are not suggested to me like by these companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think vinyl has been a big part of that. And just like the kind of community aspect of it in terms of like going to record stores or like record swaps or,
supporting your friends. Even touring musicians.
Yeah, supporting your friends and touring musicians.
Having more visceral connection to the sound that you digest.
Yeah, and I think for me, to begin with, like the thing that really kind of brought me into vinyl was like for a while in school, I was so obsessed with like kind of I was really deep into like bluegrass, and their recording process is so bare bones and like so about like what is going on in the room, and what the musicians are doing in real time, like that kind of thing.
They self mix.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Do you know the Punch Brothers? Do you know Chris Thile or Nickel Creek?
That Chris Thile sounds familiar.
Chris Thile is a very talented mandolin player. And one of his albums, which is basically like the first Punch Brothers album, which is like probably the best contemporary bluegrass group in the world right now. How to Grow a Woman from the Ground. It's two like Omni mics, and they basically like, mixed themselves, and it's just what went down. And right before I interned for Cutting Lacquers at the same studio, Welcome 1979 in Nashville, love them. They do these like direct disc recordings, so it's played live, it's mixed live, and it's cut live, and that's like every bit of silence you hear is just everyone being really quiet. Like every move is the engineer, moving. Like every move that you hear is like the engineer controlling it. It's like one. It's like the whole curtain is gone, like the veil between like you and what was happening. And I think that's really, really cool. And I feel like now I'm getting more into like what makes these sounds that I really like now. Like I've gotten kind of out of the bluegrass hole, though I do love it, and like that's why I play mandolin. But yeah, it's vinyl in particular. I feel like has that for me in a lot of ways. Like,
when did you start collecting it?
Probably when I started learning how to cut, but more seriously in the last like year or so since I started working for Vinyl Me Please.
Cool. Been getting a good collection going?
Yeah, you need any?
No, I have too many. I have like 600 upstairs.
I would love to see them before I leave.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I will boast that my sound system and vinyl collection is pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
It's pretty. I mean, I couldn't be doing what I do if I didn't have the creme de la creme.
My setup is getting there. I have like a project turntable that hangs on the wall.
What?
It's pretty cool.
What do you mean it hangs on the wall?
It's like bolted to the wall, and so the record spins like that, so you can watch it.
Don't even get me started.
And yes, it like looks really cool, but it's mostly because my apartment is very small. So like we could not
the vibrations.
It's never a problem. It's like I can count on one hand the amount of times like someone's like closed the front door and then it skips like once, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's great. Project. I got a pro tip for you.
Yes.
Get that project off the wall and put it on hockey pucks.
It comes with like a stand too, so I could do that. But the table space,
it's that 16 by 16 is too much.
It's too much. It's too much. Like the records already take up a lot. But yeah, no. So, but
got some speakers going.
They're fine.
Yeah,
they're nothing. They're nothing special. They're nothing special. And like a little like phono preamp that I found on Facebook Marketplace for like $30.
Yeah,
but it does the job.
Yeah,
it
does something.
Sounds fine.
Yeah,
it sounds great.
That's cool.
It can crank it. Who cares?
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, and I feel like vinyl. I feel like my mom would break out the vinyl records like at Christmas or like very randomly in like the summer. Like I remember her like putting on like Barry Manilow records and stuff.
Oh, so you grew up listening to some records?
Yeah, like a little bit. But I was coming up like at the dawn of like CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was mostly collecting CDs to
Same.
begin with.
Yeah, I was too. CDs, cassettes a little bit. I was born in 89, so some cassettes, but it was mostly CDs.
Yeah.
And then I started getting vinyl in 2010. Like it just started. It really wasn't popular yet. It was like right before that wave. Like 2012, 13 is when it started to really become a thing. So I just got in there, but yeah, I mean, been collecting them since then, and a lot of my favorite ones have been bands I work with that, just give you records. And
I love them.
It's cool. They're really personal, signed by them, notes, things like that.
Right.
It's cool. It's cool to have that unique stuff to have.
Yeah, I love that. And I've kind of begun to feel the same way about like these. Like I don't throw them on like super often, but when I do, I'm just like, oh, weird. Like it's so weird how, like, I think there are so many records that can kind of take me back to a certain like place or time, but like these in particular are like, oh, was in this apartment at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's cool. Yeah, I hope more people get into vinyl. For two big reasons. You support the artist. You know?
Yeah. Much more direct way.
And they feel it directly.
Right.
Now, instead of having 100 vinyl on tour, they have 50. Like, they feel it, and they feel
Literally.
They feel it in their pocket, too, financially.
Yeah.
And then the psychological elements of just, like, the intention. When you put on a record, you most of the time have to pay attention, and then in paying attention, you're, like, connected to it. You analyze it differently.
Yeah, just spending, like, some more, like, real time with, like, the artist and, like, what like what their through line is and, like, what the thought is. And that's something that since like the beginning of kind of my career, I guess, was in mastering. Like, I like train, even when I was mostly streaming, like, I trained myself to just, like, listen to the whole album all the way through because that's what you'd have to do.
It's what you pretty much did up until streaming. I mean,
yeah, right.
There was the 6-disc CD changer I had for a 1990 Pioneer sound system.
My high school car had one of those too. It was amazing.
God, it was so cool. Put on random. I felt
random. Oh god.
You put on random and what's gonna pop in next? I mean, you knew because you could say go to 5, and you're like, okay, I guess 5 was New Kids on the Block, so I guess that's what we were hearing.
I feel like in high school I was mostly like I had show tunes and then like I don't know, like weird like psychedelic rock kind of stuff, and so like random would have just been a real mood killer, I feel like, in general, for me. I think there's some people like their tastes, like sometimes they're like not like curating it, but like they're curating it a bit more for themselves or whatever, and like they're kind of listening to similar things or like related things sometimes, but I've never had that.
No. And there's some really cool pros to streaming services now because of the discovery. You get them how many things you can find, and which like I find it, then I go to their social media, find that, follow it, then see do they have vinyl. Like it always ends up bringing me to supporting them or finding their record if I really like it, which usually works. But it's cool to discover new music.
What's your favorite record store?
I mean, I enjoy Reckless Records for they're everywhere and they have great selection.
Right.
Chicago thing, which is great. There's a really cool one here on Halstead. I'm drawing a blank on the name. It's on like Halstead and 34.
Is it Doobies?
I don't know if it's Doobies. It's mostly his old records.
Yeah, it's a great there. It's like next to like a Chinese place.
Well, they're all over Halstead. We're right by Chinatown.
Or it's right next to Augustine's.
Maybe. I can't think of the name. It's right by like 35th Street in Halstead. That's a cool spot. There was this really cool place I used to always go to in Clearing on 60, what was it? I don't know. Narragansett and 63rd Street called Dugout Records. There was a really cool, Half Price Books will have some pretty decent, I found some cool gems there. I'm like, I can't believe this is here for like $10. I buy a lot of stuff online from people's websites, Bandcamp.
Right.
You know, I bought on some eBay, some Discogs. Discogs is great. I found some impossible records on Discogs.
Right.
You know, so kind of a bunch of different places. Usually get it from the band, or I'll go to like Reckless Records or whatever's around. There's a lot of small ones that are in, maybe a coffee shop or it just has like a little selection of vinyl, stuff like that. And you don't even know what the name is. You just go to it. Some of those places too.
Yeah, those are so fun.
Yeah.
I love that more of those are kind of popping up.
Becoming more of a thing. I think it'd be pretty cool if more coffee shops had vinyl for sale.
Yeah.
They should start doing that.
Wow.
Coffee shops out there start doing it.
Yeah. This is our official plea.
Yeah, it's an expensive, I wouldn't say habit, I'd say expensive hobby. It's an expensive
definitely.
hobby, though.
Yeah. I think that's something that is starting to like weigh on me a little bit, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm not like trying to take on like the industry's like sins or whatever.
What do you mean?
Just like, I don't know, like the environmental impact of it, which is hefty.
It's hefty, but where do we draw the lines? the rare earth metals for these microphones and these cell phones. Our cars, it's like, I know what you mean, but it's like, then I got to throw out my refrigerator because it has Free on it. Like, how far do I go?
And Right, and the real answer is like limiting corporations, right? Which we aren't gonna do. But yeah, like I think something that maybe more constructively I've been looking at is like getting more like women and gender nonconforming people into vinyl, which is something that I'm still kind of meditating on like how like I would like to do that, and like what kind of like space I'd like to make for that. Because I feel like Are
you saying that because there's not enough?
There just aren't enough, I don't think. Like there just aren't enough like, women DJs or like women that I see in the record store. Like, or just like women in vinyl in general. Well, actually, it was really cool. Literally Saturday, I went to a women in vinyl like kind of meetup in Wrigleyville, with all kinds of, people that operate presses and people at record stores and people that are DJs and work with like printing or whatever. And that was really cool because on the way there, I was like, I can count on one hand like the amount of women that I know that I've like come across in working in vinyl for the last 6-7 years.
Right. Same goes for engineers, producers.
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah, it's not many.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. No. I mean, when my senior year, that was right when NPR put out like the big thing of like the number of women producers is so small we don't even count it. Like, and I was like, great, really, really not super bleak. But yeah, I think just kind of finding the things that already exist. Like I think that's something that I've gotten a lot better at as I've aged. ? I'm 27. Please don't say aged.
You're too young.
Yeah.
You have one job to do this year. You can't die
as I've grown
you can't
up,
join the 27.
I do not want that. Yeah, we're going strong. We're so close.
When's your birthday?
January 26th.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm so close to a new record. But I think that's something that I found of just like 9 times out of 10, whenever I'm like, oh, this is kind of an issue and I want to do something about it, someone kind of already is usually. And like probably with a lot more like, information than I have. So yeah, I feel like that was something in 2020 that was a huge like talking point within like kind of these like anti-racist spaces and like these more liberal spaces of like, following the lead of, like people that are oppressed. And I think like that can be that I think that can be like translated to a lot of things. Like like it generally just like follow someone's lead. Like if you think that like you can trust them with like if they like obviously have like the experience or like the infrastructure or like the just like the care and the time and the love of whatever you're trying to do, like it's okay to like take a second and just like follow them rather than like trying to really stake your claim all over again. Like I don't know, I think that's hard for people to swallow. Like we all want to do something like so big and like make a big impact, but I think like sometimes the best way to do that is to like just like give people the space and then like give them your support.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest factors as to why a lot of women don't really go into that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, into like the industry at large. Oh, I don't know. I think a lot of it is like the kind of boys club vibe in general. Is like
it's intimidating.
It's either intimidating or off-putting or just like flat out like prohibitive.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a huge part of it.
Right.
Or, just like always being like, oh, are you like the guitarist's girlfriend? Like it's like, no. Like, or like, oh, can you go get me some coffee? Like, it's like, dude, man, you don't even know.
I think a lot of that is slowly trickling away with the younger generation.
It's working on it.
Yeah.
But it's there.
It's there. I get.
It's there.
I never understood it, but I believe it.
No, because it doesn't make any sense. Because it's just like not true. Yeah, no, but I think there's like a lot of that, and then of course like the cost being prohibitive, like is just like it being a huge barrier to entry, like to get like your gear set up. Like I think that there are a lot of times like those spaces, especially when it's technological, I guess, or like a more like technical thing, like the people that overwhelmingly make up the community will make it like somehow more technical, even if it isn't. Like they'll just like like I don't know, there's something like they're just like some people in like engineering or like hi-fi spaces that are just gonna name off whatever series of numbers and letters like over and over again to like kind of like just make you feel intimidated or to like gauge how much like you really know about whatever, like to be like, oh well, you aren't really like doing this then or whatever.
Those are dorks,
like,
though.
Yeah, but they're out there.
Those are non-confident dorks who that's like the only like weight they have over someone like me.
And it's like, and you said like the internet is not real, but like people are. It's hard to not like take it as like, oh well, that's kind of what this is, if like the internet is the only like first step for you sometimes. Like I feel like the first step for me when I'm learning something new sometimes is just Googling it or like searching it on Reddit or whatever. And of course you're always gonna find like some like dickhead that is being just the worst. Like it's just the absolute worst. And I'm getting better at spelling like, okay, that's what that is. That's not actually what's happening. Or like at least here are some things that I can ask someone that I know who knows how to do this, like more specific questions. But like I think if you're just going it alone or you're just starting out, like that can be a huge like deterrent.
Yeah. It needs to be talked about more and taught more. Yeah. Sometimes it starts just simply young, when
just like
little girls just might not be taught
right
the simplest things you learn that like boys will learn, just about engineering, gadgets, gears, connecting, electricity. You just kind of like let the boys play with it, and not the girls. Like no, let everyone explain it to everyone. Like I have a niece right now, who's 2. And I only get her records.
Too.
Only get him vinyl. That's what I give her. Really? I don't give her anything else. Just records.
My sister was like, "Oh, well, he's kind of young for it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, all right." But this Christmas, I think he's getting the record.
Grow into it.
You grow exactly.
Yeah, he'll grow up with it and get better at it and learn what it is. Of course, he's too young for it, but it's better than you can't outgrow a record. You're gonna outgrow the little clothes and the toys. It's
this crazy thing where it's like a box and then it has like these different little figurines and you put it on the box and then it plays the song like over and over and over and over and over again. It's weird. It's like baby record player, but with toys.
They're so smart, these kids. They'll learn. You give them records and you keep repeating like, press that button, put it on, drop this, hit the thing, press start. By 3-4 years old, they'll be fluent at it.
Right.
Like they learn how to do that stuff.
Right.
They don't need any more toys.
And people,
don't.
I think people have like, especially once CDs like started coming up, they were like, oh, CDs are more like sturdy or whatever, and which is like true to an extent, but like records can take a beating.
Yeah, CDs are actually quite.
Like in comparison,
they're quite. They scratch. They degrade easily. They get damaged easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any CD I ever had didn't last long. Scratch. They skip.
Right.
Vinyl can too. You just have to take care of it. It's just a bigger object, but you just take care of it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. You just take care of it, and you don't throw it into the yard or something.
Yeah, you just gotta take care of it. Put some plastic sleeves on it. Keep it upright. Don't compress it too much.
Right.
When you take it out, take care of it. When you put it back, take care of it. Dust it if you can.
Right.
That's all you can do.
Exactly. The coolest thing, speaking of CDs, I went to like this like weekend lathe camp in Tucson where some of these were cut. To kind of learn, what the differences were between like lacquers and this, and what kind of the nuances of the machines and stuff. And the guy that runs it, he has like he was doing these like CDs where like CDs, you know, they read from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just put a certain amount, if you put, you know, 10 minutes of audio or whatever on there, you have all the outer rim, and he cut a single into the outer rim of the CD. So it's a CD that plays in your CD player and on your turntable, which is cool. Like so cool.
That's ridiculous.
And like, and it's like, and CDs have to be crystal clear, you know, plastic or material or whatever. And so they technically sound better than vinyl sometimes. like it just has like an even like lower noise floor sometimes.
That's all it is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's the only difference between a vinyl, CD,
right,
WAV file. It's the dynamic range,
right,
and less compression. That's it.
Right.
You know, vinyl. I love the conversation of vinyl. It's the best way to listen to music. It's high. No, it's not.
Technically, no.
They're not even close. You have high quality stuff. There's artifacts. There's dust. There's hair. There's imperfections in the making process.
Right.
There's wear and tear.
Right.
Compressing it just by sitting on a shelf. And then most importantly, the noise floor. Like the stylus is a transducer that makes its own self noise. Right. And the environment you're in, and that all gets picked up and you have some feedback issues. If you don't have a really great sound reinforcement in your place, like I was mentioning, the hockey pucks, then you're going to get a lot of low vibrations. And if you don't get rid of that, you can't listen to it loud without skipping.
Right.
It's not about fidelity. It's about, again, what it is to personally listen to someone's music, that engagement. It's not.
And have like kind of like the full photos and like
all
the lyrics.
All the cool stuff like that. Yeah. Exactly. If you want to listen to high fidelity, get your, 96K, get your 96K 24-bit WAV files.
Right.
And then you'll have it. And that's a different thing. And that's fun to listen to too. I like that as well. But yeah, no, it's a goofy, I don't know, not really a debate, but just a conversation. It's funny when I hear that. I'm like, if you think that, then you might not, unless you're open to being educated on, you might not realize that it's not true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it's not worth it. I'm learning how to pick my battles.
Yeah. I don't run into too many people like that, but I'll hear people say it passively. I think they're really, it's like amateur listeners, they just kind of say it. They heard it.
Yeah.
Saw it on TikTok and they just repeat it. It's like, I get it. It's not.
Yeah, and it's like I personally do think that. Like I think it's the best way to like engage with it, but like not because
it's the best way to engage with it. It's not the highest fidelity.
Yeah, it's not like the highest fidelity. Like
yeah, and if it's because you're like, oh, it's analog. I don't know if there is. You might know this answer too. I don't think there's a record in the world right now that can be made purely analog from being besides what you were saying earlier with the straight to on the lathe. But like you record it on the 2-inch tape.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the tape, and you master it, and then you take that, and it gets printed onto vinyl. That's really, really rare.
Like AAA stuff is pretty rare. Like, my day job does a lot of that. But
so
like,
it never touches digital mastering or digital conversion?
So we have, like, a track that's called Classics, and it ranges anywhere from, like, classic, like, soul and R&B to, like, jazz. Mm-hmm. And almost all of those are AAA.
Okay.
But that's through that's great painstaking work.
And what
through like the preservation
years are these?
Oh, it could range from like 60s to like 80s, sometimes 80s.
And it's still being saved on the original tape?
Yeah, like it's like cut from the tape.
And then it's going from that tape strake to the vinyl?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really rare, but it's not anything new.
It's certainly not. Well,
that's what I'm talking about. New stuff.
Personally, I'm hoping that I can do that sometime soon. In January, I went to. Do you know the band Hum? Mm-hmm. Matt Talbot owns. He was my
Tolono, Illinois.
Yes. Yeah. So I went down to Earth Analog and I recorded a couple of songs there, and I have the 2-inch tape. So I'm hoping to eventually like maybe do AAA stuff with that cool. Eventually. But
what does AAA stand for?
All analog something.
All right.
I forget what
all analog something.
That's
AAS.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry.
As.
Yes.
My boss and colleague are good friends with him. They're in this band, Poster Children. Mm-hmm. You know them?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they were big in the 80s and 90s.
Totally.
And they're from Urbana-Champaign and
Nice.
know like everyone in that
Maybe that's
world.
exactly why I know them probably.
They might know, what was this?
Talbot?
No, the guy you work with,
Martin Atkins?
Yeah, they might know him.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I like them a lot. They're a cool band.
Yeah, their reissues that they just put out look beautiful. I can't wait for mine to come.
Long story short, kids, very few things recorded in 2023 will be purely analog across the board.
Exactly. Long story short.
It's not feasible. It's not easy. It's not cheap.
No.
Nothing about it is easy or cheap at all.
No.
And if you're big enough to do it, you have to do such a large pressing that it doesn't work.
No, exactly.
So when people say like, it's analog, it's like, no, not really. It has hit digital at some point and then went back to analog.
Right.
It's being converted. And unless you have, because, I mean, you can count transistors as still being analog, but unless you have a pure preamp tube and power amp tube system playback, then it's still hitting some digital, processing, even coming out of your speakers.
Right, exactly.
It's like, how far do you want to go with it not being analog?
Yeah, right. No, that's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. But I think that's like kind of part of the magic of vinyl, that like it just like makes. I don't know. I think sometimes there is a warmth to it that it brings.
Yeah, that's just the saturation of the playback of the artifacts interacting with each other gives you that sound.
Right.
The noise floor, the constant, that's part of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All those little things, the fact that there's multiple gain stages adds to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have a solid state receiver and you're plugging directly from your phone or laptop, you don't have all those gain stages. Not as much. Right. So it's just less noise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
That's the beauty of having digital, is you get a different type of control and clean recording, and the possibilities are great. Like you said earlier, I do the same things you, like in my car I listen to my phone, Spotify, whatever.
Right.
On walks, hanging out in the stoop with some friends, have a Bluetooth speaker.
Right.
But I'm a big fan of function. So I have like noise canceling earbuds, but I wear them when I go on walks in the city. But I also have I have 12 HD Sennheiser HD280 headphones that I wear for when I'm like mixing and working on audio and video.
Right.
Or working on projects or sometimes podcasts. I haven't been doing it lately, but with that stuff. And then the really nice sound system upstairs with Magnepan dipole speakers that looks like aliens. And those are great I listen to records and watch movies on that. But I can't take that everywhere with me. So like where it makes sense, you do it, but do it at the highest quality of each circumstance.
Right.
And that's how I like to do it. But it's great to have that device to do it. Like the fact that you can just walk around town wirelessly connecting to the internet and just listen to millions of songs.
It's crazy.
At a pretty good quality. Like it's not wave, but it's gotten so good in the last decade.
And it's so crazy, just like you will never run out of music ever.
When people does this bother you? When people go, oh, it's not really good anymore. I can't find anything good anymore. There's nothing. What should I listen to?
You're not looking. One.
When people say it to me, I'm like, I almost have a mental break. I'm like, there's so much music.
Well, I think sometimes it's just like it's fatiguing to kind of look for it because there's so much new all the time. Like,
it feels like perspective though. Like,
sometimes
if your perspective is like just find it when you find it and look through it because you enjoy it and don't take it too seriously.
No,
don't
exactly.
Like bog yourself down. Like of course there's so much, but like use these algorithms to your advantage first and foremost, and use Wikipedia and Instagram to your advantage. Instagram does the same thing. Like a lot of Chicago bands is going to keep feeding you new ones that pop up. Like it's pretty easy, but maybe it's easy because you and I kind of do these. I do this for a living, so it's kind of like what I do.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like it's mostly like I think a lot of people are feeling a fatigue of like the algorithm anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I
broaden your genre taste.
Exactly.
And that'll fix it.
Well, first of all that, and second of all, just like I don't know, like find a way to interact with the music that's like around you. Mm-hmm. Like that's why I am like a big proponent of like going to a record store. Like I would never be able to go to a record store and look through every record that they have that day. No. Of course not. No. But that's why you go and you like pick out a couple of spots and you take a look and you see what catches your eye. And like even if you don't get it, like you can still like go listen to it later and see if you do want it in the future.
That's what I miss about Blockbuster.
Right.
It's the same issue with Netflix and Apple. Let's try to name them all. Apple TV, Netflix,
Hulu,
Hulu, Disney Plus,
Peacock, Max,
Showtime,
ESPN
Stars.
Plus?
Stars is still a thing.
I have no idea.
ESPN 10 so far. There's got to be a couple
That's
more.
too many.
That's crazy. And if they're like 15
and they're all like pumping
to
out
$18, you're almost at $200 just on your streaming service.
Right. Yeah, and like
YouTube TV, I guess that's not really. That's like almost like cable.
And they're doing the same thing of like, but I feel like with TV it's almost worse somehow because it's like at least with Spotify it's like you have 40 to 70,000 new songs a day from a wide variety of artists and whatever but like TV it's like they're putting up like how much new content which is like something I hate the idea of content versus art. Like first of all, what's the difference? And why I will not create content. Like,
don't you just love being a content
creator? I hardly know her. Oh my god.
I know. There was a point in my life where I was just doing all these things, and then out of nowhere since COVID,
right?
People like, oh, you're like a content creator, an influencer. I'm like, wait, what? Don't even.
No.
No.
I'm
prehistoric that I'm a dinosaur. Like, no, you make art.
No, I'm just a weirdo.
I'm just a weirdo who is obsessed with making things with people and supporting people and making my own thing and doing all of it and putting it out. And I never thought of it as what it is now. But.
Yeah. No, literally, like I was talking to Anna, who helped me do these, and I said something about like, oh yeah, I guess I've just never really like thought of myself as like a visual artist. And she was like, that's so weird to me. Like you're always doing this kind of stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm just kind of doing some things. Like, I don't know, like
you almost need someone to tell you.
I guess. Yeah.
I get it.
Sometimes,
someone has to tell like, no, this is what you are. Like,
no,
this
is what you're doing. I'm like, oh, I guess. Yeah, that's fair. Like,
it's weird, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Why do you think that is? Like, what was your upbringing like to where was that a part of your world where you weren't, like the arts wasn't a big part of your upbringing?
Oh, no. Definitely. I think, well, first of all, I was the weird kid that didn't go to recess. I was like the art teacher's like apprentice.
Okay. So you've always been an artist.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Like, but for me, it was just like, oh, I don't want to go outside or like, and like, I don't know.
I loved
kids
recess.
will make fun of me.
I miss recess. We should bring recess back.
I do not want that.
As adults, like, all right, it's 11 a.m. Everyone go play outside.
I like going for a walk. That's like my walk is
That's
like
my
recess.
Same,
yeah.
Same.
So we basically have recess.
I just miss kickball and bags and basketball.
Okay, kickball could be good. I could be
Foursquare. Foursquare.
Yo, I got nailed by a tetherball when I was in like 3rd grade.
Oh, I love tetherball.
Those things are like filled with lead.
I was so
like
good
what's
at tetherball.
happening?
I loved it.
No,
loved it.
It's the danger.
It hurts. I mean, your hand's always bruised and swollen up after, but it's fun.
Yeah, no, totally worth it. Totally worth it. But what were we saying? Yeah, so like, yeah, I've always had like that kind of thing, and then I was mostly doing like work with like clay, which is like not what I do at all now. And I guess I was never very good at drawing, which I've been doing a lot more of now, which has been fun. And just kind of being a little bit nicer to myself, like just being like, no, it's okay. It's just whatever it is. And then you can do the next one and it might be better. Which is something that I think has always, like, for music, like you're practicing, which is like I guess like a musician's version of sketching, but I've always like understood practicing more than I understood like sketching. Like I feel like I would try to draw something, and if it wasn't like what I thought it was going to be, then I'd be like, man.
Yeah, it is like practice. Sketching that's what it is.
Yeah, and I never got on board with the sketching, but I really liked like working with clay. I think I'm mostly just like playing with mud, but like there was something about that was really cool, and just like it being totally transformed in the kiln kind of stuff. And then after college, Martin's a huge screen printer. And so much of his, I can't wait for you to see his space. So much of his space is, I mean, it looks like this basically of just like all the things that he's done in his life and that like the label has done and people around him have done and very graciously, donated to the museum. Like, and it's, I when he was first starting it, I kind of called it the Museum of Process, because you can see like these through lines of like, oh, here is this kind of icon, and he took that and he put it here, and then he printed it in this way, or he printed it in a different, or like here are like the different versions of it, which is something that I always found really interesting, because I feel like, Andy Warhol's one of the big ones that you learn about in grade school or whatever. And like his large like format prints like that. And so it's been cool to kind of explore the different versions of that. So like the other day while I was watching just like a couple of weird like horror movies, and I was carving into these like pink pearl erasers and made these like silly little stamps. So like doing stuff like that, or I just learned how to cyanotype, which is like sun printing. So there's like a solution. Do you know how to screen print?
Yeah.
So it's a photosensitive solution like you would with the emulsion, but rather than like expose it to then rinse it out and make the stencil, you keep it in a dark room, then you expose it in the sun for like 5 minutes with whatever image on a film, and then you rinse that, and you can get really like good like photographic detail on it, which is really cool. So I've just started kind of experimenting with that. But
yeah, sounds like you like to dabble.
I like to dabble. I'm a dabbler. I'm a dabbler. Yeah.
If you could pick one thing to focus on, what would it be?
I have no idea. Now, I think in my dream of dreams, I would be able to cut records for the rest of my life.
You should do that. Why aren't you doing it?
It's really...
Sell everything.
It's really hard to get
into. Take out
the
biggest loan you can. Just do it. What do you have to lose? Credit's not real. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, what do I have? You're right, Ben. Yeah, would you like to go into business?
I would, if I can clone myself at least 4 times. There was many things in this same sphere,
Tell me about it.
Atmosphere I would love to do, like a full-on record label of like signing bands.
Oh, yeah.
And doing that. I would love to do that. Right. So many bands have asked. It's I don't have time to do it.
What do you feel like, what does like your day-to-day look like? What are you teaching at these places? Lay it on me, Ben. I gotta know.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just like what I'm doing there? Okay.
In general.
Like my day-to-day, like from when I wake up to when I go to bed. And
sure.
Oh, no, it's too
What do you
much.
have for breakfast?
Usually a smoothie.
Ooh.
With avocado, 2 bananas, a big heaping scoop of organic peanut butter, some pea protein, some hemp protein, and some creatine monophthalate, the best version of it, and then unsweetened almond milk and a squeeze of honey. And I blend it up, and that's usually around 10 a.m., 9:30. Yeah. And then, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have to leave here at like 8:45 a.m., so I usually have that at 8 a.m. It switches a little bit. I don't eat for about 3 hours after I wake up.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. But that's just what I eat. So once I drive 130 miles after, podcasts, listen to records, did a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
All different kinds. Family, partner, business stuff, working on a documentary right now, so that a lot of those phone calls. When I get there, though, I teach. My first class at 11 a.m. is advanced sound projects, and I have some graduate students and a lot of seniors in that one. And every week they have to bring in a new sound project between 1 and 5 minutes of anything. It could be sound design work, it could be Foley work for a film, it could be
really cool.
Mixing a project, it could be they mastered a project, it could be that they engineered it but it's not mixed yet, it could be that they're writing a song and it's a composition of theirs, it could be that they're a DJ and this is what they're working on. Like anything in that, just they have to do it every single week.
Nice.
And then every Thursday, a student sends me, we start off the beginning of the week, it's 15 students, 15 weeks. The student starts off, they have 30 seconds, they have to make any type of sound in that duration. It could be a song, could be, again, a sound effects narrative, anything. They take it, I don't tell which student made what, and I pass it to another student. It's almost like a exquisite corpse for music.
Oh yeah, like a blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
blind
they they hear it and they got to add their next 30 seconds. And then the next student gets 1 minute.
that's
But each
cool.
student doesn't know who did the last one. So the whole
Right.
class, they don't know who's worked on what, who did what. And they don't know what they're listening to. They don't know who did it. And then by the end of it, we listen to the whole piece, you know, roughly 8 minutes.
Pick out what.
Yeah, and everyone starts to hear their part and like what happened and how it kind of transformed into this whole
That's
story.
really cool.
And that's like the final project. So that's advanced sound projects. And then we work on portfolio, CV, resume, building how to show your work that's time-based and sound-based. How do you explain that on paper? How do you display it? Things like that.
Right.
And then my next class is audio theory. It's mostly freshmen talking about the fundamentals of audio, sound, rudimentary stuff. It's like they don't know anything about sound. They've never touched microphones. They don't know what headphones are. Nothing. And then it's a sound design class, which is a little bit more advanced. They should have already taken audio theory, maybe a couple other classes. So they know a little bit more. Just different sound projects ranging from audio production to sound design and kind of everything in between. Some sound art stuff, experimental stuff, some philosophical approaches to music production, and then another audio theory class. Every semester there are some of these have repeated, some are different. Like last year I taught music business, audio production 1, recording and sampling class. So they've changed.
Nice.
But this semester is the first semester I'm teaching all classes I designed and got approved by the board, which is fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's hard.
Took 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I started this idea 5 years ago and it finally is working.
Yeah, I was some of my time with Martin was revamping like their music business program.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big
It takes forever.
big lift.
It takes forever, especially at a public university. It has to go through so many boards.
I can't even
and
imagine
the
that.
state and then this board of trustees. And then at Columbia, that's on Wednesdays from 12:30. So I get out of ISU around 5 and then drive back home. And then Columbia, it's 12:30 to like 6:30. And that's audio production 1, audio production 2. And I went there for undergrad, so
nice.
I took these classes. So
That's
it's really
cool.
bizarre to be teaching the classes I took
really
at the school
funny.
I went to.
How much have you changed them?
I haven't. I start next week there.
Oh,
ISU I've been at
cool.
for this is my 6th year, but this is my first time at Columbia.
Nice.
So I haven't changed anything yet.
How exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's a little surreal to go there where I once taught, where I once went to school. A school I didn't think I'd ever go to because it was too expensive. You know, like it's where I wanted to apply when I was 18, and my family was like, no, it's too much money. So I was like, crap. Okay, I guess. Like I knew I wanted to be an audio engineer at that age. It wasn't feasible for my family's economic background.
Right.
Like you can't be an artist. Just not allowed in that world. You know, that's why I asked earlier, because I also had the same problem literally up until I was like 31 of not calling myself what I do. Like, I'm not that. I don't do that because you're told your whole life, unless you're a carpenter, a lawyer, like an official job title, then you're like, those are hobbies. And like, that's not a thing.
My parents were really good about like supporting us. Cause my mom has always been a singer, and I think we, you know, she would sing in church, and she still does. And so like that's where we kind of like started, and then we were in bands like all through school, and then my sister went to school for vocal performance, and so like it was always like very like available to us, I never thought that it was like not an option, but I think like I just have like a general like imposter syndrome that like comes from like growing up Catholic. So I think it's mostly that, which is a different problem.
Yeah. But imposter syndrome is normal. It's natural.
Yeah.
Everyone feels it in a new endeavor that feels kind of not really what they thought they saw for their life or what was other people thought for it.
Yeah.
Everyone I know that's like gone into the weeds or took a road less traveled or was a pioneer, entrepreneur, go-getter, all of them, man, woman, old, young, everything, they've all thought. I've heard the imposter syndrome thing. I've felt it forever. I've only like now, like at 33, finally don't feel it. And I've been doing this since I was a teenager. So it took forever.
Yeah.
All the validations, accomplishments, degrees, teaching, festivals, all the people, thousands of bodies of work. It's still like, I don't know. I think it's the little stuff you heard through the process, the naysayers, the little stabs at you, like, oh, you're doing that little. How's your little lathe thing going, Molly? How's that little thing you're doing?
Yeah,
it's that
thing?
stuff.
Yeah,
and you're like,
right.
Is it little? I guess it's
right. Or just like, or I feel like more and more people are very willing to like kind of discount your work if like they haven't literally seen you do it.
Yeah.
Or like if they've decided like that wasn't the factor that actually made whatever it was successful. Yeah, which is like something that like I don't think I expected. Or I don't expect, like, I just generally don't think that people are going to do that to me. I think I'm just a generally, like, too trusting person, which I'm working on. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think that has been, because it's like, oh, okay, well, if you feel that way, then, like, maybe you're just kind of right. Like, maybe I didn't actually, maybe, like, the time that I did put into that, like, wasn't worth it. And I think that kind of goes more into, like, I'm having to really take a second and be like, what does my version of success look like? And like, what do I want to be doing in the long run? Because I've been doing so many different things.
Sounds like it.
And so I'm just like, wait,
what's your version of success? It's the printing vinyl.
Oh, Ben, I have no clue yet.
You don't know?
I don't know.
If you could pick 3 things to do professionally as a career, 3 things. What are the 3 things?
I'd love to keep helping people make records.
So be like a record label who like physically makes the records for bands.
That'd be cool. Like, or at least like
just the distribution part of it, or like actually signing bands.
I like the production part of it.
Okay.
I like production. I like working. I do like working with the artists. Like I think it's
A&R.
Not entirely. I'm a fair weather A&R person. Like the 2 bands that the 2 artists that I've really been working with consistently, we just all we really understand each other in certain ways, and like we approach like the work that we are doing like in similar ways, like just the like being able to be like, no, this we want this to be like a sustainable thing. Like we want to come out of doing all of these things like kind of like everything builds off of the last. And like eventually what we've done here will like we just want to be able to like retire eventually. But so like I think I've really enjoyed, you know, getting to know these people and understand like what they're looking for, and I think that like that kind of helps me figure out like what I'm looking for sometimes, or like just like readjust whenever I'm not sure that like what I'm doing is like the right thing. Yeah, so it's like I think that's been like I think I want to work with my friends. Okay. I think maybe it's that.
Okay.
But and I want, like, I think sometimes people will meet me and they won't like think that I actually want to be their friend. Like, because
why?
Because they aren't used to people being like, "Hi, what's your name? What's your deal?" Like, that sounds awesome.
What's
like,
your
tell me
social
more.
security number?
Oh my god. I don't do. There are some things I don't ask. Like, blood type is not one of them, just in case, you know. Like,
what's your age, weight, and height?
Age, weight, and height. Like, BMI. Like, do you know why BMI is bullshit?
Oh my god. Yeah, according to my BMI, I've been overweight.
Obese.
No matter how fit or thin I get, I've always been overweight. I'm like, for me to not be overweight, I have to be so skinny. For my BMI, it doesn't make any sense.
Literally, no.
I think I just have a little bit more, genetically a little bit more like muscle mass.
Right.
That just like carries on me.
Right.
So because of that, my BMI never makes any sense.
That's what it is. No.
Yeah.
No, but like, I don't know. I think it's easy to be distrustful of people that are nice, like right off the bat. Like, I think people are really like used to people being standoffish. Mm-hmm. and I'm just like not that.
Yeah.
In general. And so I think I've been and I think I've just been like learning to be okay with that. Like and take it as it comes and like, you know, let people come to me sometimes.
So a person who works with people in that industry.
Yeah. So it's like
a representative of some kind.
Yeah, like a rep or like a.
It sounds like you would want to be like the CEO of the company.
Oh God, no.
Because they're the people who talk and deal with everyone the most.
I have no
Small
aspirations to be a CEO. I would never.
How many employees do you need to become a CEO? Like before you're not just like the boss, you're a CEO. Like what's the number?
Oh God, I don't know.
It's got to be a definition to it.
At least like 15, right?
I think so.
Probably.
So arbitrary.
So
okay,
arbitrary.
so the
I'm
boss
sure
of the company who's the
number we
people
come up
person, you know, the relationships.
I feel like one of my bigger strengths has been like being able to get the right people together in the room to get whatever it is done. So I don't know what job that is, but
it sounds like A&R.
Yeah, I guess
it does. Manager.
Yeah, so I'm working on that, and I'd love to keep singing. I love singing. I've been doing it all my life.
And you play mandolin, you said?
Yeah, mandolin and guitar. But yeah, I went to school for voice, so yeah, I don't know. It's something I can't.
And
what
what are the names of your projects you've been in?
I'm just under Molly Compton.
Your whole life, you've never been in any other?
I had a band in college called True Vare.
True Vare, okay.
But we the only album that we recorded was in a tent in the middle of the woods in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Like right outside Nashville. There's this man, Ron McClain, my man. He had this. Well, first of all, he was like he was a working like engineer, and one night he came home and his house burnt down, and he had only like the gear that was in his car, and he had a vocal session the next day with like a crooner, and he was like, I know this is gonna sound weird, but would you come to this tent on my dad's property that I'm staying at right now, and we can do this right here. It's really quiet out here, so like we can get a good take. And they did, and they were like, oh, the stuff we got in the tent was way better. Like once they re-recorded it, and so he had like this tank maintenance tent, like with a whole studio running on like car batteries, and so like some of the songs, you know, you can hear the rain rolling, and then after the rain, then the frogs and the crickets, and
that's Tennessee for you.
Yeah, right. And so it's like, I don't know.
That's devastating.
That was really
your
cool.
House burns down with all your. If this place burned down, it'd be I don't know. It'd be bad.
He took it in stride, and honestly, he probably lived a much better life than any of us for a very long time. He's not.
Something freeing about losing everything.
Yeah. Just start over.
Just start over. The problem is, I agree with that. Except
reset.
So much of the stuff I have is extremely custom and almost like hand built or made for me.
Oh yeah.
Or DZ Records by artists and stuff like thank yous and gifts. Like you cannot.
You can't get that back.
No, custom stuff. And that'd be the hardest part. Like these, I have all these files saved digitally. Right. I just reprint them. It's not that. It's a lot of the artwork and custom little trinkets and that.
I think that's what I think when you're thinking of this, I hope you get to remember that like those are all the people that will probably like want to help you.
That's true.
In that situation,
I hope.
Like specifically.
I hope the renter's insurance covers it.
Well, right. First
That's
of all,
what you pay for.
Yeah. First of all,
they were like, "Do you want to pay $15 a month for renter's insurance?" And then I had like a really crazy lightning flash of all the things I have. I was like, "Yes,
yes, I do.
Yes, I do. State Farm, please.
Yes, thank you, State Farm.
Yes, I do. Yeah, that's if I had one of those homes with live, laugh, love, and like a plant that's fake, and then like a crappy bed frame and like a Samsung TV with like some IKEA furniture, and that burned down. Like, good, I can start over.
Steal from me.
But I have like everything I have is not like that. Like a lot of it's family artwork, grandma's paintings. I have my grandma's last painting, like that.
Wow.
Really, really hard to find. Impossible stuff. That would be the hard part.
No, that'd be
childhood
really hard.
Photos. I have all my childhood photos and videos and stuff.
Yeah, fires are devastating. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a house fire?
I've not. I've had multiple house fires occur near me, or like to people close to me. But yeah.
No joke.
No joke. Yeah.
Put out your candles, everyone.
Yeah, put out your
Make
candles.
sure you keep an eye on your curling irons.
Plug your power strips and shit.
So do you have any of your own recording equipment? Like, do you ever record your own music?
I have some stuff that I can do at home. For a long time I wanted to like be an engineer. But I think for a lot of the reasons that like we outlined, why it's really hard to get into the industry at all as a woman or a gender nonconforming person, like that kind of led me away from it. And also just like I can tell you the exact moment that I was like, maybe not. I was interning at this studio in St. Louis, and this dude, perfectly nice, but like he had this client come in, and it was a doctor, and he just like literally there was a point where like he was doing like ambient shit, and I understand that like that's what happens sometimes to make ambient music or whatever, but he just like he strummed the guitar and then he let it go, and then he was like, great, okay, let's just let this go for a while, let's go get a snack. And we like walked to the gas station and like got some like chips and
while the guitar is decaying,
just
kind of feeding back. I love it.
And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, totally. And I was just like, man, like if I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life, like I just have to like be down. If,
you just
like,
described why people don't get married anymore. Wow.
Yeah.
If I have to do this for the rest of my life, I better be down.
For the rest of my life.
So that's what stopped you?
Not
the monotony of it?
Not single-handedly. No, just like the idea that like whoever is coming in, I am at their beck and call like indefinitely.
You shook a nerve.
Oh yeah,
you gotta love it, otherwise don't do it.
And then so that was my like one of my first interning experiences. And then whenever I wasn't learning how to cut on the weekends, I would work whatever sessions were happening. I was like helping with those sessions, and it's like you're in freaking Nashville, like you've got some serious players, but then like the artist or whoever it was would like come in and have like no fucking clue what they wanted to do. I was just like, what's the point? Like, I was just like, if I'm going to be in this space, like, I want to make sure that it's, like, with people that are, like, really in it.
And that happens, too.
And it does happen.
It's the whole gambit, the whole spectrum. And you get people who have never written a song or performed, and they probably need, like, 2 more years of band practice.
Right.
You get them, and then you get people that you sit there and you're listening, and you go, like, they might be the next big, like, how are they not famous? Like, this band is so tight and so talented. Like, everything they do is perfect. I had to do such little work on my side. I just captured you. I just translated you. Right. I love that stuff.
Which is so cool.
It's the best.
And that's the magic. But, like, and I guess, like, there's just part of me that's like, I really just want to be able to, like, pick and choose in that scenario. Like, when I'm really putting in like those like if I'm gonna put in those kinds of hours, I don't want it to be behind a console for like something that I don't care about.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start treating it like a job. Like my job is just to take people's art, translate it, high quality, give it back to them. Yeah, and that's that. So it really depends on your perspective.
When I first started college, I was in the theater program, and I was convinced I was going to be on Broadway or some shit, and.
Broadway in Nashville, right?
Yeah. Well, this was before Nashville. But my acting teacher, every day he would come in and he would ask 2 questions, and he'd ask, who do you want to be? He would ask, how are you going to do the work when you don't feel like doing the work? And I think like the variety of experiences that I had engineering just made it clear, like, oh, I actually like don't know how I would, like when I don't feel like I have no poker face. Like I I can create like a really like good environment for like making good like studio magic, but it's a like great personal cost, like to like my like just like my mindset, you know.
Yeah, not everyone's cut out for it,
right? And
you
it's
have
just
to be in love with sound.
Yeah,
like sound, like just sound. You have to like love the concept of sound and how to capture it,
which I do, but like I found it so much easier to like have the job part of it within mastering and like within like production. Like I can QC a record all day, right? But like if I have to work for whatever Jagoff is letting the chord ring out for like 20 minutes.
It happens. Like, eventually, the plus side is if you do it long enough and you have enough stability and reputation, and you can pick and choose. I tell my students, say yes to everything so you can one day afford to say no to whatever you want.
I know.
And that happens.
And I think some of it is like I just ended up saying yes to everything in just like a different area.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, I do actually really like touring and like events and, you know, helping people have a really cool time around these different ideas or art, or, you know, give them space to do their art or to explore a different medium, you know?
You're like the musical concierge.
Yeah.
You want to try this and do this? I love it. I love volleying it up too.
Yeah.
Hooking people up like, hit this person up in the Indianapolis, Nashville, Atlanta.
Right.
If you Tallahassee, if you're doing that route, like it's definitely become a fun skill set to have. To, like pass people to that person. Right. Trade names, hook people up. Yeah. Tell them Ben sent you, stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
It's cool. It takes a while to
nothing gets done alone,
but it's fun. I love it. Well, you never told me I think we went through the 3 jobs I said to pick that you'd want to do.
Mastering.
You said music.
Yeah.
You said mastering? By mastering, what do you mean by mastering?
Like cutting records.
Cutting records,
like
okay.
Or like cutting lacquers.
Okay.
Yeah, mastering, singing, people, which is something that mastering didn't ever really fulfill for me. Like it's a very solitary activity. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that
is that the technical term for it in that world, mastering? Because it's same as mastering a record, but that's a different job.
Yeah, I've heard, so it depends. Like sometimes you'll be doing like a total like remaster for it to be on vinyl. Mm-hmm. But I've heard it like kind of interchangeable between like mastering and cutting. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you're doing like just kind of a flat cut, which would mean like you aren't doing really anything to the master that you receive. You're just making sure it fits on the record and literally fits on.
I've received a lot of funky cut records.
I believe that.
Not happy about it. Some wobbly.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, that ain't a circle.
The wobbly
like stuff like that.
Well, the wobbly and the off center stuff. That's mostly in the pressing.
Damn.
Yeah.
What happens? What goes on to make it wobbly? Wobbly?
Wobbly. Well, there could be a number of different things. It could be that it's just hard to ship records in the summer sometimes.
Temperature,
or
humidity.
just like the temperature and humidity does a lot of that. Or like, just like if the pressing operator like doesn't quite know how to make like 2 polymers really go together, if it's like if they're 2 different colored vinyls or whatever. Mm-hmm.
The color of vinyl phase. I love it.
Yeah, love that.
It's wild.
I love it.
Sometimes I open them like, oh my God, it's just like crazy. Like, what? Some really cool stuff out there.
Some of them look really, really cool.
Wild, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it when it kind of like it extends the story of it. Yeah. I was it the Flaming Lips that like put some of their blood into it? Like
I'm
one
not
time,
surprised.
Yeah, it was like something like that. I think it was the Flaming Lips.
I love the color ones, especially when it fits the theme, the tone of the record,
right?
The band's like color theme and the theme of the record, and like it's cool,
right? The off center can sometimes be, well, it depends. Like sometimes it's like the master was cut off center, but that's like pretty rare. That'd be really hard to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's like plated and like cut a little bit off center, like the plate itself is.
Sometimes there'll be some like extra vinyl on the circle, like just so strips on it.
Yeah.
That I've gotten some where the grooves, some of them are like flat, like dulled down, like
weird.
pushed. Not often. This stuff's rare, and most places are
Right.
cool about it. Like you let them know, you send it back, they'll
send
give
it
you a
back,
new
yeah.
one, or they'll just like just keep it. We'll send you a new one.
Right.
It's the biggest bummer when you get a new vinyl and it's got like the corners like dented or folded. I'm like, oh,
So sad.
because it's like, was it in shipping? Was it in manufacturing? Whose fault? Who do you? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's hard to like complain because it's like it's just the corner, and it's
But
like
it
it still
matters.
plays, but it's like, man.
The only time I make a fuss about it is
and
if it's a big
sometimes-
record company.
Yeah, and
if it's like Sony or Warner Bros., like, give me a new record.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, first of all, yeah. And
If it's a small establishment, I won't bother them.
yeah, and sometimes it's like, you know, like if you're like when you're paying like some places are charging like a lot for some of these records now because they're coming back and because they can.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, if you're gonna charge me like that, then you could definitely like send it to me. It better be like pristine.
Yeah, that $20 to $30 range seems to be the norm.
Yeah.
And then doubles, you might get like 25 to 40.
Right.
If they're really popular, like a big artist with a double gatefold and some extra stuff, 35 to 50.
I feel like it's going up and up.
It is going up and up.
Yeah.
It's on the up and up.
Yeah.
There was a time in like 2010.
It'll bomb out.
I thought you said Obama's out.
Oh my God, no!
Obama is not a president
That's
anymore.
so true, Molly.
He is out.
Like, let's get you to the bottom of the ocean.
From like 2010 to 14, before they really, really came back, you could find a good amount of like new ones wrapped on Amazon for like $12 to $15. Like
Nice.
I bought so many Sonic Youth records because they were so cheap.
Nice.
I'd be like, you can get a brand new Sonic Youth
I feel
record.
like
And it's
right
like
after
$13.
that-
You're like, this is awesome.
I feel like right after that, then it was like everyone was pressing vinyl, and then like, but like no one really knew how to do it anymore because all the people that did it were like retired
Dead.
or dead. Yeah, like and so,
Died from the vinyl pressing
everyone-
process.
Yeah. So at least lost a finger, Jesus. But like, yeah, no, and so I feel like we're finally kind of getting back to like, oh, everyone's been kind of doing this. The people that have been working in this for a long time really know how to do it now, and they're sounding better and better like every year.
Yeah, especially the 180 grams. It's
Oh yeah.
sick. They're thick. How many grams are these?
Sneeze guard gram. I don't know
What would one of these cost to print? Like,
they cost me like 10 to 12 once you get all the
and what do you normally sell it for?
like 20.
20.
Because I mean like they're handmade art.
You do 80 of them?
I
Or
did
is that
80 of those.
8?
It depends on what
And how many songs in each one?
they're just two. They're just singles.
One on each side.
Yeah, one on each side. Yeah, it depends
How many
on
minutes can it
the
hold?
edition.
Like 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah, tops 6 minutes, but like usually like 5.
So if you're like
5 would be like comfy.
If you're like a short song band, you can get 2 on each side. If you're like a 2-minute song band,
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And some of these guys do like 10 inches too, which are kind of cool because then you can definitely get like 2, sometimes 3 on each side. And they're still like cheaper than getting a, traditional run done.
yeah, I know. I always, with the bands I'm a part of, always want to do vinyl, but we don't play enough and like sell enough stuff
Right.
to justify a couple $1,000 investment.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it'd be so cool to have it, but it's hard.
This is a great option. We can talk about it off the air if you want.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You heard that? She said she'll do everything for free and give it all away. No, I'm kidding.
I could be for you anything for you, Ben.
Anything. Okay, I want 150,000 prints. I love I just love the customization of it, the handwriting, the stamp. How'd you get the logo? Did you make that?
No, I just ordered it off rubberstamps.com.
Classic.
Yeah.
Whenever you don't know.
I love Googling.
I always tell this to my students who grew up in the world of Googling. They'll ask me a question. I just go look at them like,
Google it.
you know, you can just Google that. Like, not pertaining to the class.
Right.
They're like, hey, so I'm looking at like microphones between like, I guess it's kind of related to the class, but Google will do a much better job.
Right.
Like between $100 and $300. Any suggestions? I'm like, I have like a couple, but you could just Google that, and you'll get like way more suggestions. That I don't know every make and model of every
Yeah,
microphone.
or like
so just do
I feel like
that.
with gear, especially, you can like find like shootouts of it too on YouTube, like
yeah,
real easy.
I'll give some suggestions, but I mean, just go on the internet and like.
Yeah.
You'll find way more than I could offer you here.
Right,
There's funny questions. I'm like,
Sometimes I feel like sometimes I would ask something like that but I really just wanted to chat.
Yeah, I can see some kids just want to hang out and talk to like with their,
thing,
their teacher, their professor. It's fun to hang out and talk with them.
Yeah,
like, oh, he's cool, you know.
He's a cool guy.
They're always quite interested in my life. It's really funny. They're always bothering me. They stalk me. It's
You're
hilarious.
an interesting dude.
It's just funny because, like, for Halloween last year, my class, guess what they were for Halloween?
You?
Yeah. It was really weird.
That's really funny.
It was funny. One person did like a wig and a beard, like a girl. Like, it was really funny.
That's tough.
Yeah. They like had colorful clothes and stripes. They went all out. I was like, Jesus, you guys are goofy. But hey.
That's really
was
funny.
it, not intimidation. What's the most sincere form of flattery?
Imitation.
Imitation. I say intimidation. Imitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny the questions you get asked. But yeah, I tell, if you're listening right now, Google it.
Every time.
Just Google it. You'll find an answer.
Yeah.
And now that you got Chat GPT, holy cow, can you find some answers?
Yeah.
Right?
Some right, some wrong.
It's so weird. I'm
so weird.
I know at one point I need to have it because I'm not naive to think you can just like say society and pop culture is like a speeding, moving lane. Okay.
Right.
I'm not dumb enough to think I can just hop out of the lane and chill on the side of the road for a bit and then hop back in.
Yeah.
I'll be so far behind. So you have to always keep up with it. And Chat GPT is just another part of it. It's just like when you were able to ask Siri something or Alexa. It's weird. I don't do it, but it exists and I know I can.
Right.
Like I need to be aware of it. So I just need to be aware of what's going on.
I feel like Chat GPT in particular, like it helps me with like sometimes I have a problem of just like I just need the first draft of whatever it is, and then which is something that I feel like I learned from Martin of just like he's someone that would just be like, okay, just give me a draft of that, and then he can like tell you exactly like exactly what it actually needs to be.
Yeah,
you know, like even if what you bring him is totally wrong, even if you make totally if he just totally overhauls it. Like the first draft was still like incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
You know, to like being able to okay, here's an organization of these thoughts. Mm-hmm. What is actually important? You know, what are the useful things?
First draft for what? Like what do you
just
tell
like
it?
Everything.
What do you tell it?
I'm just, like sometimes they'll just be like write an email asking X. You know? And I'll be like, no. It's actually this. And then I'll like write the whole email. You know? Like,
it's so funny. Like you do it just to be like, robot, you're wrong.
no. Or like, oh, great point. Like I do need to remember to ask about X. Like right.
So
in relation
to such interesting times
yeah.
To just be like, yo, write this for me. And it does it. And it could do quite a great job at these things. It's remarkable.
It's kind of crazy.
But it'll never replace you or I. I hope not.
Oh, no, definitely not. Have you seen some of those like AI generated like commercials?
No, I don't think so.
They've been getting like a lot of like, I feel like local TV news spots.
Really?
Yeah. And like, it just like eventually, like it'll start out like pretty like mundane, like marketing language for a restaurant or whatever. And then it'll just like screech like on accident. Like it'll just
Are
like
there people in it like what kind of
no
commercial?
it's just like either like stock footage or like AI generated stuff or whatever.
Replacing jobs already.
No, it does a really bad job
still replacing. Someone didn't do anything. One person made that. They just told ChatGPT
I think there's still like I hope those were tests. I hope those are not being run for someone's business. I hope no one's paying for that.
Yeah.
That's gotta be.
That's brutal.
Brutal.
I don't know.
It's brutal out there. Yeah. I don't know. Meet your neighbors. Be nice.
You heard it for, you know how long we've been talking for?
How long?
Guess.
2 hours?
It's a great guess.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, like 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Goes by fast.
Yeah. This has been really nice. Thank you for having me.
This has been fun. I mean, it went by really quick. I'm like, I just realized, I was like, oh, shoot. 2 hours and 8 minutes.
We got right to it. We didn't dawdle.
I never do. I just like, let's go.
Right.
I'll meet someone I don't know at all. I'm like, all right, let's just go ahead and do it. Meeting people's easy.
Yeah. I love meeting people.
Me too.
I love a stranger.
Me too.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the random, like, 3-minute conversation you have with a random person walking down the street.
Yeah.
It's like, can you believe the pigeons today? Like, I know, right? And then who puts this food out? Why? Like, where does this come from? And then you just, all right, have a good day, and you just go by your way.
I'm a big proponent of like talking to your Lyft driver or like, your mailman. I love talking to my mailman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's up, dude?
Uber, I've taken an Uber maybe 7 times in my life, and 6 out of those 7 times were in like the last year. So it's very new to me, but they never talk to me ever.
It depends. If they aren't trying to chat, then
I have heard on low key that all the women I know say they do talk. So I don't know what that means, but I kind of think I know what that means.
Yeah, bummer.
You know what I'm saying? I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. Yeah.
Yeah, but every guy's like, I don't know. I just put my earbuds in, they don't say anything. It's like, same. I don't know. But
I've never put my earbuds in.
I always put my guy.
I feel like I don't know.
I gotta listen to this record.
I gotta listen to this thing.
Some Ubers though, I kind of get a kick out of the like layout, like the way they do everything, like where they have like plastic, hand sanitizer, how far up they put the seat, they fold it down, like just the way they go about their approach.
I feel like I like it more when I'm like very obviously like kind of an inconvenience to them. Like this is just like some dude's car, and he's made it like just livable enough for me to be ferried to wherever I need to go. Like I deserve it, I'm playing into their scheme. Like,
but then there's some pros like that. Like,
oh yeah,
in Mexico
or like
City,
the random
they had
like
legit
karaoke cab situations.
Yeah, they like go all out. They like retrofitted hard plastic. It was like a taxi cab.
Yeah,
like that kind of Uber. Like like this person does this all day, every day. Yeah. It's an interesting. I respect people who do it because I don't like how expensive it's gotten. Because I remember a couple of years ago, people were like, "Yeah, it's like $5-10," and now it's so much money to go across the city. And those things.
I want them to be paid a living wage so bad.
Well, yeah, I do too. But I don't think that's why it's that price.
Oh, certainly not. Oh no,
we all know how capitalism works.
Sure does.
It's not the working person that's the price problem, why it's too expensive.
Tell me about it.
Amazon and UPS shipping isn't expensive because of the delivery drivers.
No.
Pay. It's because of the gazillions of dollars that go up to like the top 5 people. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Next podcast will be on capitalism.
Great. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Can you share where people can find all the things you do and be very specific, like websites, emails, Instagrams, everything?
For right now, the best place would be to follow me on Instagram. It's just Your Mom Records. You are the letters You Are Mom. And then my solo project, if you're interested, is Molly Compton on all streaming services. And
I'd love to get you in here for a live session.
Oh, I'd love that.
Let's
That'd be really
it.
cool. Yeah, totally. My Instagram for that is Malster Mash.
Malster Mash. That's clever.
My sister calls me Malster, and I was like, haha.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Malster Mash.
So
how do you have records out? How many records?
I have an EP out from 2021 called Please Don't Show My Mom This.
Molly Martin. Wait, it goes by Molly Compton.
Molly Compton.
Molly Compton on Please Don't Show My Mom This off Your Mom Records.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. I didn't really think. Yeah, no, I love my mom. I'm the biggest fan. But yeah. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Our website is getting overhauled, but it's just yourmomrecords.com.
That's every artist's website.
It's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think I've had one for 7 years and it doesn't exist. I don't even know where it's at. I just gave up.
Amazing.
Linktree, whatever, it's good.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Instagram is the place to be, I think.
If you are an artist, Instagram is your website.
True.
That's the way it goes.
True. Yeah, but the Instagram is mostly just kind of what we're doing, when the shows are, and my cats.
So. And people can find your shows, your events.
Yeah, all those on
all
there.
the bands you work with in the city. How many bands have you worked with to date? Do you know?
How many are here? 1, 2, like 9 or 10.
9 or 10. 9 or 10 shows. You're in this 9 or 10 spot.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, because I've been doing all these at kind of the same time. So and it's just me usually, and like whoever I can hoodwink with, like pizza and beer and stuff.
I love it. A lot of hoodwinking with pizza, beer.
Yeah.
I'll record for free for you. Like.
Yeah. Offer a barter.
Barter, trade, the old-fashioned way. You give me a goat, I'll give you a donkey.
Yeah, Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah. No, for sure. This was so nice. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for doing what you do.
Oh.
First and foremost, because I can relate in my own way, but yours is different what you do. And the world, the cities, the countries, they need individuals like yourself doing unique things, creative things, doing it because you love it and a labor of love. And I hope and pray that you can make one of those 3 things we talked about your career. Specifically this, I feel like this is really what you want to do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so. And I appreciate you coming here and taking your time.
Anytime.
This was a lot of fun. You're a fun person.
And you got a record out of it.
Oh my God. I'm listening.
You taking the blue one?
I don't know. Which one do you want me to take?
The blue or the orange
Which one should I take?
I don't know. Think about it. You live your dreams.
I think I like the blue one more. Which one do you like more?
I like both of them. I think they both turned out pretty well.
Okay.
I think the blue one is more true to like their like digital art that they gave me. The orange was kind of me riffing.
Okay.
Because I wanted to give them some options.
I just like the way the blue works.
Yeah, the blue is lovely.
And I like the layout of the dots. Very cool. Thank you, Molly.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Love you, DZ.